We salute you. You're watching the Get Busy Living podcast, and I'm Dr. Scott from Sixth Sense Acupuncture and the Healthy Habits Club. And we've got an awesome guest today. I'm looking forward to this one because this is very, very different. Kylie comes from is presenting a very different business model to what I've ever seen before. And thank you very much, Kylie, for coming on and giving us some gold nuggets of information. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So, Kylie, tell us what gets you out of bed every morning.
My body. To be blunt, my body. But just seeing what's on my to-do list and working my way through it, and as blunt as that sounds, just working my way through my goals and what I want to get done. And normally I've done them the day before, so I have my goals list of what I want to do, and just ticking them off one by one. And it might be the goals list for the next week and just starting to tick all them off.
Yeah, cool. So you're basically self-motivating yourself so you can help the community, basically.
The joys of working for yourself, you have to be very self-motivated, otherwise it all just crumples and you end up being on Dr. Phil, as opposed to Dr. Scott.
Absolutely. So I'm just looking at your website.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can share it, actually. I'll try to. I haven't done this on the podcast yet before, so we'll see what happens. Just give me a sec. There we go. So as you can see, let's look at view first. Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see that this is your website. So this is LEMTIF. Is that right?
Yeah.
There it is there at the bottom. So check out Kylie's website. There it is there, www.lemtif.com.
Yep.
So there it is there. You are not alone. So tell us, how did you get into that? How did you get into...
So I've been in mental health and I've been in a caring role for about 20 years. I fell into it purely not by mistake, but literally just fell into it. Both of my kids were diagnosed with mental health conditions when they were very young. So when my youngest was diagnosed, it was, "You're now a carer." And I went, "I'm a parent. This is just what happens when you're a parent." And the psychologist said, "Well, yes, that's true, but as far as the government is concerned, you're now a carer." And I went, "Okay, this is just parenting to me. I don't understand the problem." She explained to me that as far as the government's concerned, that's now my full-time role. This went on for literally an hour. I'm like, I'm being a parent. Like, it's not what I signed up for, but this is just parenting. We just roll with it, right? So I became a full-time carer to both of my sons, which of course is parenting. It's what we do. But it became a lot more than that. It became advocacy. It became education. It became knowing what's going on. And this is before NDIS came on board. So it was probably about a year, maybe 6 months, about a year, 18 months before their rollout. And South Australia was the first state that they rolled out. And I had just finished mature age university and I had majored in public policy and politics. So unfortunately for NDIS, they had come across me. So they were trying to hide behind policy, all their scrutinies, and I knew how to read the legislation very, very well. So in advocating for my kids, I realized what the psychologist was saying, that it wasn't just parenting and going, "Okay, here, little Jimmy, here's your lunchbox, off you go, and then I can go off to work." No, my full-time job was caring, advocating, and doing all that sort of stuff. And most of the time I would be at home or going to school or speaking to teachers or speaking to doctors, and that was my life for about 20 years. I think I literally had 2 or 3 friends. Most of my family just, I won't say abandoned, but they just took a step back because they didn't understand. They had no idea. And I didn't blame them for that at all. So it was a matter of just going, okay, this is definitely not what we signed up for. But we've got to roll with it. This is my job. This is not only as a mum, but this is my entire world. And it's more than what most parents, I don't want to say sign up for, but it's literally in the book, in all the books. It's not what we sign up for, but it's what we've got now. And that's how I fell into it. Did it for 20 years, did it for other people that came into our circle, and said, no, this is the way that I've found to be beneficial. And a few people that came into our little circle, our little village, they did the same for me as well, and said, no, we found this to be beneficial. So it was like a to and fro approach. And found the same thing in other sectors like elder care, domestic violence, and all that sort of thing, where carers and friends and family, they don't have the support that they need. So yeah, I literally fell into it.
Yeah, I don't know where to start with this. So that I'm just so yeah, you basically the government has shifted the goalpost, and they're saying that the nucleus is no longer this what it used to be, which is Gen X and Gen Y. They had 2 parents.
Yeah.
Whereas the millennials and I don't know who comes after the millennials.
Alpha, I think, and Beta is the ones being born this year.
Are they Alpha? What are they called?
Beta.
Alpha
and Beta.
Alpha
yeah,
and
we're
Beta.
going into the Greek alphabet now. We've run out of letters.
There you go. So Beta. So the Gen, the millennials and the Betas basically are getting used to having one parent as the family nucleus.
Yeah.
And this is what the government is basically, what I can see from experience, is heading towards. They're heading towards a one parent nucleus, a family nucleus. And you were basically, what you're saying is that you were trying to say to the people that were guiding everyday families, and you're basically saying, no, the family nucleus has 2 parents, and we look after the children, and I am the stay-at-home mum.
Yes and no. I was very fortunate that I had a husband that was working. But there are so many, like the number is astronomical, that either both parents are in some sort of volatile situation, especially when it comes to, I'm going to say, mental health disorders in children. So just so that neurological sphere is entirely encompassed. Because I don't like to say that my kids have a disability. We call it a different ability. So just so that everything is encompassed from, all of my words have left me just then, whether it be from ASD to ADHD to bipolar to some things that haven't even been found yet, just so that everything's under that umbrella. A lot of people call it neurospicy. So, everything under that umbrella. A good section of the time, they're in the lower socioeconomic end. And there is a lot of, unfortunately, DV within those demographics. And as much as we'd like to say, oh no, there's not, you can't fight the statistics. You just can't, and they're underreported.
Absolutely.
They are massively underreported, and it goes both ways. The amount that it goes both ways, and I'll be very careful what I say on here as well.
It's all good, mate. I'm not gonna shut you down.
The amount that it is underreported both ways is there's not enough statistics for that yet. I haven't seen the latest statistics from the ABS because it would just be not accurate.
Not accurate, yeah.
The amount of men that don't report, the amount of women that are too afraid to report, the amount of children that don't know how to report, and all that sort of stuff. And it goes on for generations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes the behavior can be learned too.
And generally it is.
Yeah.
Which is extremely sad. But that's also where the books come in, is to say, hey, look, you're not alone in what you think might be right or might be wrong.
Yep.
There is another way to go about this.
Yeah, well, my background is 21 years as a security guard, and 10 of those years I worked in hospitals. So mental health was a forefront every day that I was there. We got more calls to mental health than any other department, mainly because if you say no, especially if you're on involuntary treatment order, and voluntary treatment order is basically like prison. You can't leave without the doctor's consent. So you can't discharge yourself. So if you're getting medication like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, now majority of the time, not always, but majority of the time, I'd say 99% of the time they're getting medication, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, if you say no to that, guess who they call? Not Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Not Ghostbusters, that's for sure. They call us. So, and I can see their frustration. I can understand why there would be, and that's the. Don't get me started. Basically, but from what I can, the system is not working. You talk to all the nurses, the psych nurses, even the psychiatrists and psychologists themselves. They even say the same thing. Well, this is the best we have. We don't have any better. So,
exactly.
And a lot of what I saw was not organic mental health. It was usually drug induced, especially in adults. Children was different. Yes, the majority of the time was organic because they had a family and therapy unit. CAF2 was called, Child and Family Therapy Unit. And majority of the time it was, it was mainly behavioural. And there was some organic, but you didn't see a lot of drug-induced mental health. But in adults, yes, absolutely. There was, I'd say 90% of them had some sort of drug-induced mental health problem. But there was an underlying, I shouldn't say that, but there was an underlying mental health issue that was causing the addiction, and then the addiction caused other mental health issues. That was the problem.
Yeah, there was an instigator that caused all the other dominoes to fall down.
Yeah.
But you got to treat the last domino in order to get back to the first one.
Yeah, and the problem is the diagnosis is so subjective. You can't do a blood test and say, "Oh, they're mentally unwell."
No.
You can't do an X-ray or MRI and say, "Oh, look at those brainwave patterns. They're mentally unwell." There's no test for that.
No, it's not like a seizure disorder where they can do a few tests and an MRI and that this has been found. Now off we go. It's not like that. You've got to catch it a few times in real time and go, right, we've witnessed this. There's been a few other people that have witnessed it. We can put our name on it. and we've seen it now.
Yeah, exactly right. You break a bone, you get an X-ray. Oh, look at that big snap. We can see that. That's very
Yeah.
visual. You can see it. But with mental health, it's invisible. You can't see it.
And
you can
that's
see
why
the behavior. You
yeah.
can see the behavior, but what's the cause?
And that's why a lot of it is like with mental health and depression and anxiety, they call them invisible disabilities.
Yep.
Because quite often they are very debilitating this is my opinion, if you acknowledge that they are debilitating you. In my opinion, if you're hiding behind the disability and going, oh no, I've got depression, so therefore I've got to stay in bed for 6 weeks and I can't do anything, but I don't want to go see my doctor and actually do something, or go sit out in the sun for 20 minutes, then you're not helping you take one step. Even if that one step only happens once every 100 days, you're at least taking that one step. And, there might be a lifeline counselor on the other end of the phone. You're at least taking that one step. If you've just decided that you're going to stay in bed for those 101 days, then you're letting that depression win. That's my opinion. I was a counsellor for years. A lot of people disagreed with me, but again, everyone has an opinion.
Subjection.
Yeah. We live in a free country, might not be America, but we live in a free country.
Absolutely.
This is not the podcast for America versus Australia.
We have it. We don't have a Bill of Rights, but we do have a Charter of Human Rights.
That's right.
We do have a charter. We have a charter. We have a Charter of Human Rights. Not many people know that.
No. I do. I haven't read them for a while. And that was one thing that NDIS didn't like, is that I actually knew all this stuff. So I'd actually bring it up to them and they're like, oh, well, we can't do that. And I'm like, do you realize that what you're doing is actually against the Disability Act, and it's against the Equal Opportunity Act, and it's against this and it's against that? And they're like, but. And I'm like, no, but. What you're doing is against all of these that have been around a lot longer than you. And they're like, well, you can make a complaint. I'm not making a complaint. I'm stating a fact.
Pointing out the law.
Yeah, like just look at the legislations that have been around for 30, 40 years. You've been around for 30, 40 minutes. It's a matter of looking at it and being knowledgeable. And if you're going to...
That's government at its best.
Exactly.
That's government instead of it.
And I must admit, I thoroughly enjoyed it because I had literally just gotten my degree, and as a mature age student that knew at least 5 minutes worth of stuff and all very fresh in my head, they were there going, oh no, you have to do this. And I'm like, no, I don't, because I'm not going to go with you against the Equal Opportunity Act and against the Disability Act. So, no. Just because you've written your legislation against another act doesn't mean I have to go with it.
Follow with your opinion. Because that's what the end of the day is, their opinion.
Exactly. And they didn't really like that. I said, you get your supervisor to call me back and you get your minister to call me back, and I'll go see my local MP. We'll see who can actually read the legislation. I went and spoke to my local MP and they went, oh my God, they've done it so wrong. The local MP spoke to, I think he went over to Parliament just on one of his Canberra trips and spoke to the NDIS minister and just went, you realise you've got these convening acts that are contravening each other. And he goes, oh, yeah, we'll get that fixed.
But the problem is it's systemic, yeah?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
And there's going to keep being problems like that throughout Australia, throughout different acts. We had it in COVID, and things will just keep happening. We're not a perfect society.
One thing that I noticed over the lockdowns.
Which one thing did you find?
Well, this is the biggest one that I saw that, because I'm a healthcare professional.
Mhm.
Kylie tells me that she has she doesn't have the vaccine, right? Whether she does or not doesn't matter. I can't go and tell the world that Kylie doesn't have the vaccine,
Yeah.
but yet a 16-year-old kid at a movie theater can ask me if I'm vaccinated or not.
Oh yeah, that frustrated me.
What? Number one, he's not my profession, health professional. Number one. Number two is he has no no lawful authority to know what my health history is, or she, and and they're they're basically, yeah. The other thing is business is going to go to poo because I'm going to go off and tell everyone that your business told me that I can't come in because you want to know about my medical history. That doesn't make sense, does it?
100%. What I didn't understand at the end of the lockdowns when we were able to fly again, only within the country, was that. Sorry.
All right.
Was that once we got off the plane, we then had to wait 2 hours to have a nose jab, and that was probably the only time I had one. And I'm like, I just want to start my holiday. That's all I want to do. I want to go see my family.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad enough I couldn't actually see some members of my family because they were older and they were in lockdown in their nursing home. That I was kind of okay with. Let's keep them safe. And they had arranged to, I think, bring my grandmother to a window. But I don't want to stand in line for 2.5 hours. Yeah. Or
Had a window.
Yeah, that's exactly.
The parading tiger.
We've got photos like that. It was like a prison visit. Not that I've ever had a prison visit. But it was like, well, I don't want to stand in. No one wants to stand in line for 2.5 hours after being on a plane. It's like, if we've survived the plane, we're all okay.
Yeah,
we're good, and we're not going to sue anyone. We promise. We'll sign a declaration.
Unbelievable.
Just let us go, because at this stage we're tired, we're cranky. Yeah. Let us go.
Well, the other thing is, another one was if you went overseas and you came back, then you had to go to Toowoomba or Pinkenba to get quarantined. Yeah,
well, they never came up to Toowoomba because I was living there. All of Toowoomba wanted them to come up there to quarantine. But they never came. They built everything. They never did it. And so now there's all that quarantine housing that was built literally sitting there. And so they're contemplating it for the Olympics. But then they'd have to bus them in and bus them out. But they've got the equestrian things happening up there. So they might have the equestrian people live there. But yeah, they've got actual housing up there. It's only mining housing. But they're not even letting homeless people live there, or desperate people needing housing live in there. And it's like, you've got housing there. I think it was for 1,500 people or 15,000 people or something.
Yeah, 1,500. It was 1,500. I remember the numbers because the Wagners got their international airport put in as well.
Yeah. And the government just said, no, we're not letting anyone else do it. They'd rather have a debt than try and recoup some money.
Yeah.
And you could hear the entire town when it was released on the news, that you could just hear them all going, a collective forehead slap. All you could hear, apart from a few swear words, it was like, oh my God, the dumbest decision ever made, period.
Oh, no, there's bigger ones.
That was literally, it might be one of the top three.
Yeah, it's up there. Don't get me wrong, it's up there.
It
spent millions. Yeah, when you're talking beans, but that's when they really screw up. I got a few stories about that too.
They wouldn't have recouped the entire lot, but they would have recouped a good quarter to third, if not more.
Well, it's the same old adage, but Kylie, it's not your business.
No.
So you're just employed by it.
Exactly.
And no one really owns it. So there's no repercussions. It's very strange. Very, very strange.
It is.
So, yeah, if we spend a few billion on something stupid, then, oh, well, whoops. Accountability's gone out the window, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so back to, I can see why you've created LEMTIF, and I can understand why it is. So tell us about it. Tell us about how it can help the community.
So the reason why it was created was to it was when I became a carer, like I said, my family and some of my friends had taken a step back because they didn't know what I was going through, which I kind of had some animosity at the beginning, but within a few weeks I didn't. But then there was a lot of isolation. So over the years, I kind of went, it'd be really nice if there was someone else in this lifeboat. I did make some friends that were in the same lifeboat. And I went, okay, it's actually a bit easier to know that I'm not the only one in this sinking boat. And one lady that I met actually said to me, what you're going through is crap. Don't get me wrong, it's crap and it's going to get worse. And I went, oh, thanks. Appreciate you. Love you. She wasn't kidding. It did get worse. It got a lot worse I was not prepared for. And so the books are there to essentially say, you're in a life raft. Your boat's sinking. Don't get me wrong. It's sinking. But is it a pin-size hole or is it a Titanic-size hole? Let's work through it together. And it is as simple as that. Whatever you're going through, whether it be elder care, illness care, domestic violence on any spectrum, being a carer for visible or invisible disabilities, sudden loss, the lifeboat is sinking. Don't get me wrong. It is sinking. It feels like it's sinking at a rapid rate. But as you go through it, as you go through the books, is it a pinhole size leak or is it a Titanic size leak? And by Titanic, when it first hit the iceberg, is it, how big is it? And as you go through it, you might go, oh, hang on, it's only a pinhole size leak. No, I'll be able to get ashore. Or it might be, no, I'm actually sinking. I'm going down with it. Okay, right. Let's get you off to a mental health professional. Let's get you off to your GP. Take the book with you and say, I've done some research on me and we'll go from there. So it just allows people to take that step, take a bit of the pressure off of the mental health system and to be able to go, well, I'm taking that moment for me and that they're not alone, nowhere near alone. And that there are other people with them as they're going through sometimes some of the worst moments of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. You're basically saying that you need to take your health into your own hands and that you may need some professional help. You may need that. But if you can help yourself first, it makes it a lot easier, not only for the health profession, but also the network that is around you.
Yeah.
And this is something we're not taught. We're taught to go and see the doctor. The doctor should know everything. And that they're the ones that are going to solve all your health problems.
100%.
Especially when it comes to mental health. But the problem is the system is definitely not perfect, not even close. And when the health professionals themselves say that, then yeah, it does come back to you need to look after yourself. And this is where the government is finding it difficult, because they want us to be reliant on them. But then when the service comes from the government, it's subpar.
Yeah.
It's not even par.
And
doesn't
so
suit.
many people, sorry.
Yeah, right. It just doesn't suit everyone.
No.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a blanket for everyone. Of course, majority of people don't. It just doesn't fit.
And a lot of people, they don't need counselling or psychotherapy in any capacity, whether it be with a psychologist or a psychiatrist. They may not even need their GP for longer than one counselling session. They might just need to sit down with their best friend or a mate for coffee and say, look, oh my God, I didn't realize that this was happening. Or when I saw that little kid and their parent or their grandparent in the shops, oh my God, I was such a horrible person in my head. I can now see that, you know, through the books that I saw at, I don't know, Jennifer's house. You know, that sort of thing. It very much is a reflective process. And, you know, to be able to reflect upon yourself is a massive thing to do, especially in today's day and age where everything is so instantaneous. So to be able to do that and then sit down with your mate, or even sit down while you're having a lunch, or, you know, sitting near the beach, or if you're out bush, I don't know, a nice tree, and be able to, you know, go, okay, right, this is what I'm now seeing in myself. The book is with me. There is at least one other person on the planet that is going through this with me. There's 8 billion people on the planet. One has to be going through this as well.
Absolutely.
No, I might be in Uganda, but there's one other person going through it as well. And that's the whole idea of it, is to go, okay, there's at least one other person going through this as well.
Absolutely. And so tell us about how you've helped someone with LEMTIF.
There's been a few people that read my books before I publish them, just to make sure that what's in my head actually got onto paper. As anyone knows, when you're jotting down a few things, you kind of forget about 45 words. So I've got a few test readers just because they are very intensive. So I don't want to screw up my friends because they're very immersive. And each one of them have come back and gone, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this about my life. Oh my gosh, that's brought me back to X, Y, and Z. And each time they've come back and said something like that, I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? Did I upset you? And they're like, no. I'm realizing this about myself. I'm realizing that about myself. I'm realizing I actually don't need to go to therapy as much now. I really want to show, you know, Billy Bob this book. You know, I know some people that would benefit from this. And I'm like, really? You know, I'm realizing, not to sound poignant, but I'm realizing the power of these books, and it just makes me more and more excited. You know, that I can take them out to rural areas and very desolate areas where they really do need to go, because in order to get a counsellor out to places like Cunnamulla is extremely hard.
Absolutely.
You know, or places like, pardon me, is Uluru and all that. Oh, pardon me, I've got hiccups. You know, really, really isolated areas. The chance for mental health advocacy, let alone mental health, anything, is extremely difficult. So just to be able to get the books out there, that would be a massive step. Whether they're utilised or not, it's irrelevant. It's like putting them into a library. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Absolutely.
You know, you can make their food a bit salty, but you still can't make it drink. But to be able to get them out there and to do some speaking engagements would be fantastic, and that's the next step. So,
Okay, excellent. So tell us about.
Sorry.
You're right. You go.
Seeing that feedback from my test readers is just showing me that, okay, what I'm doing in the path that I can see these books going is 100% in the right way.
So tell us about the books. What have you written?
So I've written 4 books so far. They're in what's called the Fog series.
Okay.
So I've said enough about the books. I should actually tell you about them. So I write a series called the Fog series. Fog is literally a fog that comes down from the sky.
Yeah.
And it wraps you up like a blanket. So imagine you're going through a forest or something like that, and you're trying to figure your way out, and then there's a layer of fog. And whenever you're in a layer of fog, you just feel like you're getting wrapped up in a blanket, or at least I do anyway. And you feel like you can just talk, or maybe it's just me, I don't know. And that is literally fog. So I just started writing a journal type book to fog, and each sector, each section that I'm writing on writes to fog as they're figuring their way through. There's no identifying features. So you could read one of the books, and your wife could read one of the books, or your partner could read one of the books, and you get completely different experiences. And it's not because of gender or anything like that. You've had completely different lives. Even if you're brought up the exact same way, you've still got completely different lives.
Yeah.
I've actually tested that with a couple of people, and they both had completely different experiences. And so I write, like I said before, about invisible disabilities. Invisible disabilities is a good example. So I write from the primary parent point of view, the non-primary parent point of view, and the sibling point of view, all about the same person with an invisible disability.
So when you say non-parenting point of view, what do you mean?
Non-primary parent point of view.
Oh, it's not non-primary. Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Just there's the primary parent that is.
What's the difference? That's a better question. What's the difference?
That's up to the reader.
Okay.
That's up to the reader. So from my point of view, the primary parent is the one that is, making the appointments, dealing with whether it be bruises, just copying all the flack from family. It depends on the situation and the invisible disability itself. It's how they feel. They might be going to work every day, but they're the ones copying it the most. The non-primary parent is pretty much the opposite of that. They might be a stay-at-home parent, but they're getting all the, oh my God, you're so amazing, you're staying at home, that's great. The person with an invisible disability is amazing, you're doing great. They're not copying it. Generally, however, it is statistically, this is not in the books. Statistically, it is the mum that stays at home, and the dad goes to work, and the mum will literally have bruises everywhere. I've been through that a few times. I've literally looked like I've been bashed from here to Gundagai I've got 2 of my own, and I've got a stepson, and literally looked like I was bashed from here to Gundagai just from the kids lashing out because they weren't able to articulate what they needed.
Yeah, gotcha.
And all I was told was, oh, no, you don't know how to talk to them properly. And it's like, well, you're partially right, but entirely wrong. Yes, I'm not speaking to them the way they need. However, they also aren't speaking the way they need because they don't know how to. So there's a difference. And my partner would come home and they would completely change their dialect, and it would be, oh, hi, how are you? And I'm like, hang on, where was that child about an hour ago that, suddenly you're all happy and all that sort of stuff? And I'm like, okay, I need 20 minutes to myself before I look like I'm a crazy person.
I get you. And it also makes you crazy because, I'm not just saying that the healthcare system can point fingers and
100%.
make presumptions, but that I mean, that's government all over. The presumptions come from everywhere with them because I think they become desensitized. I think they do. Because they're seeing it over and over, and they come to presumptions that this other 100 other families did that, and this is what we saw, so it must be the same.
Yeah, exactly. They go by statistics, which sometimes is good, as sometimes is not beneficial to anyone. I've been very fortunate that I've always had a good team around me. That within 2 visits, they've realised, no, hang on, she knows what she's doing here. The first visit, they go by statistics. The second visit, I've come in with literally a stack of information about that high, and I've gone, right, here's all the information you want to know. If you want to keep going by the ABS statistics, go for it. However, if you keep doing that, we will find ourselves new therapists. And they've gone, no. So I'll call you every single day if you would like the information, so that you've got authentic information. However, you tell me which way you want to do it, and we'll go that way.
Yeah.
They very quickly realized that I would actually call them every day with a daily report.
Yeah.
They didn't like the thought of that.
And that's another problem is authority. Everything has to be through authority, and if someone points out information that they don't like, it doesn't suit their they're sitting in society. If it doesn't suit their sitting in society, then they'll go to extreme lengths too. I saw that as well. Extreme lengths.
Exactly. And that's the whole idea of these books, is just to say, hey, look, you're in charge of you. You're in charge of how you take this next step in your life. And to be able to say, no, what you've gone through is terrible. You didn't sign up for any of it. Even if it is elder care, of course, every single child wants to look after their parents as they get older, or at least a lot of them do. I wish I could have done that. Both my parents died very young. But once you get to that stage, you then go, oh, hang on, I didn't think it would be like this. I didn't think I'd be changing mum's nappy. I didn't think I'd, be saying, yelling at dad and going, Dad, put your hearing aid in. Dad, eat your mashed potatoes. You didn't think that it would be like that and it'd be breaking your heart so much. You didn't think what dementia and Alzheimer's might be like if you've got to go down that track. And then when they not so suddenly pass away, but when that time comes, how much it would break your heart. And I've had to go through that a few times. So to be able to put that in a book as well, and to say, hey, look, what you're going through is terrible. You're prepared for it, but not to the point that what you thought you were. And no one ever prepares you for it. The nursing home tries to, because they see it almost every day. I'm trying to think of it. The ministry staff, generally they're fantastic. The chaplains there are generally fantastic. I say generally. I haven't met a bad one yet, but I'm saying generally. They're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
When the undertakers come in, absolutely beautiful, and it breaks your heart. There's nothing you can do. Your heart just breaks, and you leave it at the door. Your heart is left at the door, and you pick a new one up as you drive out. There is nothing else that can be done. And when you see the faces of all the other residents as your loved one is being wheeled out, that is an experience that I do not wish on anyone. It is the most heartbreaking experience.
Yep.
Because they know what's happening. Dementia or not, they know, and they knew the second they moved into that house or that property.
Yeah. The other thing is that they don't remind you of is that that's going to be you one day.
Yes, if you're lucky.
If you're like, well, yeah, and it because I visit a lot of dementia units and also stroke units because they can't go anywhere, and you're right. A lot of families aren't ready for it. They're not told this is the way the system is now. But every now and then I'll see an Eastern European family or a European family, and they still have those old values.
Yeah.
So there's 4 generations, Indian families as well, Asian families, I should say, because they're all pretty much the same values. They'll have 4 generations living under the same roof.
Yeah.
And it's not discriminative. Chronic disease is not discriminative. It affects every.
100%.
It affects and especially mental health. It affects every culture that you can think of. Absolutely. So
yeah.
So you can see it. They're all all 4 generations are like, even the kids. You can see they're just used to it. So they see it from an early age. Whereas with the Western culture, we aren't taught that. We're taught to put mum and dad in a nursing home, and then come and visit them whenever you can. And a lot of families just don't have the time.
100%. And a lot of the grandparents that are put into nursing homes, they're kind of taught, well, at least mine were, that, they want their families to go out and live and do all that. And then, they'll make friends in the nursing home.
Yeah.
They don't make friends in the nursing home. They make friends with the nurses and the attendants. But they want their family to go out and live and not worry too much about them.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing.
Yeah, well, the family doesn't know what happens because they're not there all the time.
Yeah.
And this is where the healthcare system has failed the elderly as well.
Exactly.
I mean, there was an inquiry. It was a 22, I think it was 22 or 23. And it just basically said that it's failing big time.
100%. And a lot of the family carers, they take it upon themselves to feel guilty, but they should, but they shouldn't, because they're following the wishes of their family member. They're doing what makes their family member the happiest and the proudest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, the government's letting them down. So they're kind of in that stalemate. And, I do write a couple of books about that to say, hey, look, you haven't done anything wrong. There's we're a multicultural society. Just because family A lives in a multi-generational house doesn't mean family B is doing something wrong. Neither house is doing anything wrong. There's no right or wrong here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's what I'm trying to say. But the system the system that's put in place is separating us from the whole nucleus, from the family. We spoke about that earlier, and now our parents and grandparents. They're all being separated, and that's the way the system wants us. But what I'm going to do is we've run out of time, so I'm just going to move on to the third and fourth question. So,
yes,
tell us, Kylie, who's your ideal client? Who's the one that you want to help the most?
I thought about this, and I must admit my answer is going to be the Prime Minister or a Minister for Health, because they're the ones that have the funding so that I can then go out and help the rest of Australia.
Well, I've never had that answer before.
Well, I could say I want to go and help the rural communities, but they don't have the funds in order to get the books. If I go to the top, they've got the money, and then I can go to the rural communities, and I can go around Australia and do the speaking engagements.
Yeah, but we'll have to set up a lobbying company then. Well, that sounds.
I'll just go to the local event.
All right, that's awesome. That's an awesome answer. I've never heard it. No one's ever said that before. So that's cool, very cool. And also, so give us some ideas or information. I've gone to the 4 questions. So give us some ideas or information to provide lifelong longevity, please, Kylie.
I listen to my body a lot. I have done for years. I've got chronic illnesses myself. So I listen to my body on every single thing that it needs. Don't get me wrong, I still eat chocolate, even though I have allergies. But I live a very whole foods diet. I went and got some chicken and prawns yesterday. So had chicken and prawns fried rice. So I have a very whole foods diet and walk as much as I can. I'm not one for lifting weights, but apparently I have to. I get out there as much as I can, and I'm very much a positive person, and try and spread that positivity as far as I can. I believe very wholly and heartily, I don't know if they're words, but whatever goes out comes back. So, I try and be as positive as I can. I give the little old grannies a smile, even if they've got a grumpy look on their face. If someone's not looking too happy, I'll still smile at them, because you don't know what's going on in their life.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for Kylie for coming on the Get Busy Livin podcast. Much appreciated. I got some gold nuggets today as well.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. And because you didn't bag me too much, I'm going to give you access to my health club. So awesome. I've got 9 modules that teach about meditation, EFT, emotional freedom technique, nutrition, exercise, roadblocks in your mind, how to kick them to the curb, disc profiling, who you are, Chinese medicine, acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, and the 8 leading chronic diseases which are killing hundreds of thousands of Australians every year. And unfortunately, the numbers are getting worse. So you get access to all that. It's worth normally $11. It's all online. So you get that for free just by coming on and not bagging me too much. Thanks, Kylie.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, you've been watching the Get Busy Livin podcast with the wonderful Kylie Hill. And that is, I forgot to mention that's her website there, LEMTIF. So go to www.lemtif.com. Do they have access to the books on the website too, Kylie?
Yeah, there's resources on there. And there'll be more going up shortly, because I've got more coming out very soon. And if anyone wants to book me for a speaking engagement, just click the contact us page and we can talk about it.
All right. Appreciate your time. Thanks, guys. You've been watching the Get Busy Livin podcast with the wonderful Kylie Hill. And I'm Dr. Scott from 6 Sense Acupuncture and the Healthy Habits Club.